I seem at all out of sorts today, it is because Jim has been gone all week and John has been gone the last 2 days. And the John part's really hard because I can't remember the last time I've gone 48 hours without getting an update as to what his kids are up to. So I'm just like flying blind here. Obviously, when 2 security guards are out, we are well covered. I want to thank our swing security guard, Lucian, who filled in. I'm just kidding. His name's Bobby. Come on. Lucian. We got 5 names on the entirety of our crew. Jim and John are out. Bobby comes in. If Bobby goes down, it's Mike. If Mike goes down, Jim and John will probably be back. What's the difference between like good content and good digital content, right? Like we're still watching it with our eyes. Like we still have the same taste. It's a real rabbit hole. All right, let's get into all the stuff you guys shared with me this week. A fish who is being a killjoy is called a gilljoy, was a thought one of you deemed worth sharing. Oh, I guess I wouldn't have said that in the regular show, so maybe that's digital content. Maybe. Lot more fish content coming. It's going to be a hot corrections if you're a pest comedian. It's Trump. We said that was Trump at a halibut. I was told it can't be a halibut because halibut have both eyes on one side of their head unless they're babies. So they have both eyes are on the same side of their head. It starts with one on each side, and then 8 days, when they're 8 days old, there's a ceremony where someone comes over and moves it over. It's a fish moil. If you're wondering what the difference is between a moil and a fish moil is higher in omega-3 fatty acids. It's called a brish. Still got a bunch more fish stuff. As Trump, I said in The Body of a Closer Look, dolphins are mammals, not fish. Many of you complained that Donald Trump would never make that distinction, and this is a wonderful example of what mathematicians call the jackal conundrum, which is this. Either, as Donald Trump, I call a dolphin a fish, and half of you run to the comments to say a dolphin is a mammal, or as Donald Trump, I make the correction, and the other half of you run and say Donald Trump would never make that distinction. And the thing is, there's just no way to please you all at once. But I keep trying. And that's what makes me the hero. Still not done with fish stuff. This is just a correction somebody wrote in. I just felt like maybe somebody who had a way with words. Seth, quick correction. I'm no fish expert, but I don't think their fins come out of their tits. I'd like that. I don't know what that jackal sounds like, but I would like them to sound like this. Oi, oi. Oi, quick correction. Oh, I don't think I'm on this, mate. Still not done with the fish stuff. We played a dolphin sound effect. We've been told this before. The sound effects we play, while the accepted dolphin sound effect in media is actually a sped up kookaburra. And the kookaburra's ability to do such a good dolphin is one of the many reasons they're known as the bird kingdom's Rich Little. Now it's just going to be bird stuff for a while. We talked about birds flying into buildings. Obviously, it's that they fly into the windows on buildings. Someone said you can bird-proof your windows by putting up decals that have tiny black dots. And then I tried that, But then every time I looked out my window, I would say, "Oh no, dots!" Studies found painting one wind turbine black resulted in a 70% fall in associated bird deaths. And if you paint one wind turbine sky blue, bloodbath. If you paint one wind turbine blade sky blue, you just might be a birdbane. Do we think birdbane hates birds or hates cats? We've never really dug that deep into the birdbane backstory, but we're creating it together. So we'll throw that in the chat. We'll put up a poll. Is birdbane a scourge to cats or a scourge to birds? Or both. Maybe he, is such a nihilist that he's anti-both. I said the number one killer of birds is cats. Someone said it's not cats, it's people, but that doesn't line up with the data. Unless, are you saying that after you kill the bird, you get the cat's prints on the weapon? Might work. Might work. By the way, framing animals for crimes they don't do happens all the time. Do you know how often cops get dolphins confessing to crimes on wiretaps, and then the dolphin's lawyer is like, sounds like a kookaburra to me. Oh, to stay on the theme of pinning crimes on someone else, I made a joke last week about how Chuck E. Cheese went from a mouse to a rat because he fingered someone else for a crime. And the amount of you that were like, ha, 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 he said fingered. Someone even said, like, Google what fingered. I know what it means. There's two meanings, Use the context of the sentence. When the headline said, Sammy the Bull Gravano fingers John Gotti, like, mobsters weren't like, oh. In the butthole? I just realized that's digital content. We had a really fun at this point in the broadcast on Tuesday. Who wrote it? Someone asked. Well, let's remember the new rule of thumb. If Ben was in it, Ben wrote it. Someone said with croissant and at this point in the podcast, back to back, we're truly living through a Benaissance. But I will tell you someone that will disagree with the rise of Ben this week is Baze. You guys, Baze, obviously, he's still doing a ton of modeling. But he just lost a gig, and he's pretty mad about it. So this is the new Tommy Hilfiger ad that Baze is the silver fox in. Obviously, it's great. It works. Nobody's upset. But then if you zoom in, right, you probably can't see it yet. So you got to zoom in a little bit more. And if we go all the way back, Ben. And I guess it was like a closed set. And so obviously they're so mad now because they know that Ben's in the background. And they took it out on Baze. And he's pretty mad because those were his, as he said, those are his real friends. We had a joke and a closer look about a guy on the subway who had an iguana on his shoulder. And Sal wrote in that the graphics department would animate the iguana singing opera. That joke did not make any sense to me, so I cut it from my draft. And then Sal said, oh, graphics already did it. It's really funny. And I said, well, yeah, I make the calls, bro, And then he said, well, maybe you could show it in corrections because it's so funny. This opera singing iguana. And I said, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? This isn't where we just catch the stuff that wasn't good enough for the show. Sorry to be a hard ass, but them's the rules. A lot of chatter in the comments about the difference between catapults, trebuchets, onagers, and mangonels. So, as I understand it, the ancient Greeks had, sorry, make sure I get this right. They had onagers, the ancient Greeks. They had trebuchets, ancient Greeks. They had catapults, the ancient Greeks. But the ancient Greeks could not have the mangonel. I wonder what a mangonel would even look like. Alex?
You can't have the mango.
Speaking about SNL alums, let's try Andy. Unavailable. The payoff for this one is going to be something. A lot of people outside of New York did not know what a super was in last week's corrections. It's a superintendent. Someone else, because I was talking about the super in my apartment, someone said, hey, we've seen your house, Seth. We know you don't have an apartment. Well, I mean, I got one of each. In last Thursday's Closer Look, we made some jokes about Dan Bongino's name, including this one. Bongino, incidentally, is also what the Italian Sheldon says. Someone wrote in, can you explain the Sheldon joke? No. Wasps don't bite, they sting. True that. Every time one of my kids says a wasp bit me, I'll say to them, that's literally impossible. Well, that was really fun. Thank everybody for being here. Not the hottest correction, but I'm proud of it. I'm always proud of it. It's really important for me to put the work in and be proud of it. And see me next week. Sorry. See me next week. Wait, what? Why? Since when is this? You're joking. I've been told that moving forward, corrections isn't over until the opera Iguana sings. That's pretty good. See me next week.